Welcome to the Sarah Scoop Show. It's time to get the scoop with Sarah.
Hey, everybody. My name is Chris McNally. I'm a Canadian guy who acts sometimes. At this point in season 8 of One Calls the Heart, it looks like Elizabeth has possibly chosen to court Lucas, and it's been going. I think it's been going great, but there's something happening with Nathan as well that's percolating, and I think we're at the point now where we might be seeing a shift, or maybe not. I don't know, but things are maybe getting a little more muddy, whereas I feel like there was more clarity a few episodes ago in terms of this trajectory and this story. I really like watching this season. I find it funny because we film it, but then to be honest, I don't really remember what we did. The broad picture, I know what happened, but there's a whole bunch of little details or scenes that I totally forget about. And so when I watch it every week and I try and tweet along with the Hardys, I feel like a large part of me is watching it for the first time because, like I said, I don't quite remember. I also only was engaged in the scenes that I'm in, so there's all these other storylines. I read the scripts when they first come out, but it's gone. That was 9-10 months ago, something like that. So I love it. I feel like I'm right there right there with the fans. My thoughts reading the scripts for the first time is where they were. I'm always surprised because we sometimes get a little bit of a heads up in terms of what's happening, kind of broad stroke idea of where the story's going. But even with season 8, there were frequent changes with those broad strokes even. So every time I got a script, didn't really know what to expect necessarily. So it's always fun. It's always fun discovering that. And it also, the pressure kind of mounts as we move through the season, because you'll start initially with 2 to 3 weeks of prep time. You'll get the first 2 episodes, because we shoot them 2 episodes at a time. And so you got lots of time to go through it, learn everything. And then as we progress through the season, due to delays, things out of our control, whatever it may be, the time gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And so by the end of the season, there was one block, we call them. We shoot in 2 episodes. We call it a block. But so there was we were on our last day, and I think it was 4 p.m. And there are actors who've been told they have to be at work at 6 a.m. the next morning, and they don't even have a script yet. They don't know what they're filming. So it's like it's kind of funny how it adds up like that. But yeah, anyway, I don't know if that answered your question, but we'll do 2 episodes at a time, and they'll essentially break it up primarily based on, I would say, locations. We'll do all the scenes in the saloon out of episodes 1 and 2, and then we'll shoot all the scenes in the infirmary the next, however many days later, whatever it takes. And then secondly, based on people's schedules, because there's a few people who work on other shows. They might not be available on said day. But luckily our set on One Calls the Heart is it's confined. We never move. It's always at Jamestown. So it's very easy to kind of pick up and drop, kind of change people's schedules around. Whereas other episodes or other TV shows, I mean, you're shooting all over the city and you only have that house for 3 days. And so you can't be as flexible. John Tinker is very collaborative. I think he sat down with all of us individually before, early in 2020, and said, what do you want to do this year? What do you see for your character? He was very open to ideas. So I think the majority of us sent him thoughts that we had, and he kind of combed through those and saw what registered with him and what worked in terms of the show and the show's parameters. So yeah, we got to have input that way, which was great. And yeah, I keep forgetting your questions. I would say that Kevin and I were hands off in terms of that decision. It was my understanding is that it was a network choice, but they kept, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but they kind of were changing their minds. So we didn't always know what was happening, or we thought it was going one way and then it would go the other way. And so, yeah, something was happening, but it was definitely out of our control. Although I think Erin said something to me like, I really don't want to work with Kevin. So that probably had a big input. Am I pleased with how the season ends? Well, yes, I think the direction that they've gone is what's best for the show and best for the story. And that's, at the end of the day, all that Erin and myself and Kevin were hoping for. It's just, not necessarily rooting for a particular person or even character, really. It's just what is the best for this story, and what allows the show to continue with the most sort of interesting or with the most potential, if that makes sense. I think Erin and I had a lot of fun with that, because you're right, it was quite reserved in the first season that Kevin and I came on. Wanted to be respectful of the fact that Erin's character is a recent widow, and the fans love Jack so much. So we didn't want to feel like there wasn't room to have that sort of fun in those seasons. It was more an introduction to the characters, and then by characters I mean the new ones, Kevin or Nathan and Lucas. And then in season 7, a little bit of room to play with, starting to court and express some interest, and some flowers being given, and metaphors about the town and how we both care about the town and that sort of fun. But season 8 was I agree, it was fun, because you finally get to let those characters expand on the seeds that you had planted in previous seasons. So we had a great time. The rain scene was very fun. We got absolutely soaked. I think Erin and I both got much more drenched than we thought we would. That was authentic surprise. I think it was a fire hose that was divided into 4 different sprinkle towers. But to say a sprinkler, I don't think that fully captures what happened. It was a torrential downpour on us. Favorite scene or scenes? Yeah, I enjoy scenes with conflict. So Martin and I had one particular scene that our characters get into a heated battle. You know what? It wasn't. I went ahead and watched in advance, and they did not cut it together the way it was written. We're supposed to be overlapping, and it was really fun to work on the day. And then I noticed that it's very he talks, I talk, he talk, I talk in the final version, which, yeah. No, you don't know what the editors are going to do. So that one was great. Kevin and I had some fun conflict scenes as well, because our characters start stepping up the stakes in terms of what we want, what we care about when it comes to Elizabeth. And then Gowan's son, Christopher, came to town, and he was lovely to work with too. And we got to have some fun sort of more subtextual layered scenes together. And I had a blast doing that. And then obviously Erin and I had a lot of fun scenes this season. The rain one was great. There's a couple scenes that haven't aired yet that I am not going to mention because I don't want to spoil anything. But the farther along the season goes, the higher the stakes get, and so the more fun it is for us to work on them, if that makes sense. That was a fun scene to work on for sure. I think they cut a line in that when Elizabeth says, do you want to come and sit with me and we can chat? And I sit down, and it's so squished. And I think Lucas says something like, I've never sat here with another person before, but I feel like that was deleted. I think favorite memory isn't one specific moment per se, but just the fact that I'm just happy we got to work. We all got to come back together, and it's sort of, I know it's been said before, but it kind of feels like we're all coming back to school when we go back and shoot another season. And I didn't know if we were going to return because of the pandemic. Nobody knew what was happening and what work would be like. So I was just elated to be able to go back and see everybody and actually get to work again. So maybe day one, if I had to pick a specific moment, day one when you roll up and get to go back in. The pandemic did have some effects on how we shot, and you're right that we weren't socially distanced in our scenes. We were all getting regularly screened for COVID and having COVID tests to make sure that we were, safe to be in close proximity to each other, and had to be very careful in our own day-to-day lives. I couldn't go out, and not that anybody was being social anyways, but just aware that if somebody got sick, it would be a massive problem for the show. So we basically were hermits all season while we were filming. But one of the ways that the show was directly impacted by COVID was the school, the schoolhouse, excuse me, and the kids and little Jack. Because when you have the schoolhouse scenes, it's a lot of people, and one of the goals this past year was to try and keep the scenes to a lesser amount of characters at one time if possible. So a lot of the kids unfortunately weren't written in as much this year, and I know some fans have been vocal about that, saying what's going on with the show, where are the kids, where's the school, and I hear that, I understand that, but I just feel like this is a good time to, since we're on the topic anyway, to kind of voice why the school children weren't in as many episodes as you maybe would have thought or hoped. And same with little Jack, because you just weren't sure about COVID and young kids. So he's unfortunately only in it 20% of what he typically would have been had COVID not been a thing. Well, getting to work with Teryl was awesome. She's very quick, very smart, very nice, and very talented. And I enjoyed working with her a lot. She improvs more than I'm terrible at improvisation. I like to be told what to say, and then I'll work with that and do everything that I can. But I tend to drop the ball when it comes to coming up with my own dialogue. And there were a lot of times I found where Teryl and I would be doing a scene, and then we'd kind of wander off, and she began improving, and I would just listen and go, yes, absolutely, yeah, sure, but aware that I was totally failing to to meet her in that capacity. But no, she was great to work with. And I also like that we got to bring in Lucas's mom, so that you can see a little bit more into his background, because you don't necessarily know a lot about where he came from, how he grew up. And I think it's very telling meeting her, seeing how he was obviously raised by a very intelligent woman. Books were, as people know, a large part of his life and his education, traveling, but also his perception of love and how he really considers his parents' marriage to be an ideal picture of what a marriage can be, and how that image is shattered when he finds out that they're having marital issues and troubles. My favorite couple in Hope Valley outside of the love triangle, I'd have to say Lee and Rosemary. I almost said Lee and Pascal. Lee and Rosemary. I just think they're so great together. They've got such good chemistry. They are very good friends in real life, and I think that shows. You can see that transcend. They're just so great with each other and play off each other. You remind me of a funny story about Kevin. We were sitting in the saloon in between setups. There was a bunch of us. I don't remember. I don't think it was this last year. It might have been the year before. But he's like, let's play a game. What can we do? Let's impersonate each other. And and I said something like, "Oh, that's such a good idea." And he laughs, and he goes and looks at Erin and goes, "That's definitely you." And everyone's like, "No, it's not, man. It's it's you. He's like, what? That's me? Well, if I was to make fun of the Canadian accent, like, to kind of talk a lot like this, but just this kind of thing, and having a tea, hanging out, I would say that yes, I've become very good friends with Kevin, Erin, Kevin, Pascal, but I'm gonna say Martin Cummins, because Martin, who plays Gowan, got Ben Rosenbaum and myself to come out to jiu-jitsu with him pre-COVID, and that was really fun. So we were rolling, 1 to 3 times a week in the mornings. Get up real early before work. We go do jiu-jitsu. Martin would beat Ben and I up, and then we'd we'd go to work and see each other there. So that's my answer for that question, just because I feel like that's a little bit more specific and unique than the hanging out that we all do. We all love to spend time together, but jiu-jitsu with Martin has been great fun. He is ripped. Well, he does. I mean, he rolls all the time. He's very dedicated. He has a room in his house that is just empty and matted with jiu-jitsu mats, and he rolls with his daughters and his sons, and that's just their jiu-jitsu room. I have not heard anything about updates, and I believe that last year there was an announcement made in April, and so I'm looking at the calendar and thinking, well, it's April. I mean, might be nice to hear something soon if they're gonna announce anything. So I hope that Viv's right. I hope that we get to go back for a season 9. Absolutely, that would be fantastic. But I unfortunately don't have any inside scoop on that at the moment. Well, first, Lucas will have to lick his wounds from not being chosen by Elizabeth, Team Luca Beth. No, I'm just kidding. He's going to celebrate because he is chosen, but actually he's not. So Fiona, I don't know. What is the other people? Who? You know what? I'm just trying to spin things because I don't want to give anything away. But love triangle aside, things that I would love to see for Lucas is I want to see him go broke. I mean, he's so flush, right? He's a successful businessman, struggling with the oil a little bit. Oil's not producing as much as it should be. He's thinking about shutting it down in season 8, but he's still operating a successful saloon. He's still got his finances in order, and I just think it would be a lot of fun to see him completely crash and fall from the top to the bottom in terms of the bank and have to climb his way out of that. Project lined up for me. Nope. Nope. Hopefully when college goes again, because that would be great. I mean, I'm trying to get work, but it's a tough business. Nothing has come through so far. I've read for some projects that I'm really excited about and love to work on. Still waiting for them to call me back. We'll see. I did move to Los Angeles. I moved to Los Angeles and was there for about 5 or 6 months, and then happened to get When Calls the Heart. And so because of that, I moved back for the first season I did, season 6. I came back here and actually stayed with my parents. They still live in the same house that I grew up in, which is a lot of fun. So I stayed with them, shot that season, and then would just fly back to LA when I had some time off. My partner, she and I adopted some dogs, and so I was going back to look after them with her. And then the next year, right at the beginning of When Calls the Heart, she booked a job in Vancouver as well. So because of that, we ended up getting an apartment here, and still here at the moment, because although I'm not working, she still is. And so when those jobs expire, whenever that is, then yeah, we'll be going back to sunny California. I am Canadian, but I can't say that I ever pictured myself wearing the surge and being a Mountie. I definitely was fascinated by them when they would walk by in parades because they would be on their horses, ride by, and I thought that was great. But I wanted to be a few things: an astronaut, because that would be cool. I wanted to open up a martial arts dojo. I wanted to be an actor, and I think I also wanted to be a designer, like an architect. But no Mountie.
Thank you for watching The Sarah Scoop Show. Head to sarahscoop.com for more.